Hello and welcome to the District of Sechelt Committee of the Whole meeting for Wednesday, April the 23rd, 2025. I will start with the land acknowledgement. The District of Sechelt is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Sechelt Nation. We respect the histories, language, and culture of the people of the Sechelt Nation, whose presence continues to enrich this community. I'll call the meeting to order, ask if there's any declaration of conflict. I'm seeing none. So have the meeting start at 3 o'clock and move an adoption of the agenda. Got a first from Councillor Bell, seconder, Councillor Laughlin. Thank you. All in favor? Unanimous? Great. So we'll start with the declaration and proclamations. 4.1, the National Day of Mourning.
I'll jump in, Chair.
Sorry, yes.
I can jump in. I think it's procedurally, it's my pleasure to proclaim April 28th, 2025 as Day of Mourning for workers killed and injured on the job in the District of Sechelt. Thank you.
Sorry, you're jumping in because, you've signed the proclamation. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Then we'll move to business item 5.1, the 2025 first quarter report. Does staff want to introduce it or?
Thank you, Chair. No, nothing to introduce, but senior staff on the whole, other than Mr. Allen, are here to answer any questions council may have.
Great. Then I will turn it over to council to see if any of council have any questions. Councillor Rowe.
I'm just curious. Thank you. I enjoy these reports so much. What is the West Coast Municipal Events Meeting? I'm not sure I've seen that before, but.
Sorry, what section?
Oh, sorry, under other, page is it on? Page 7. Says represented District of Sechelt at the West Coast Municipal Events Meeting hosted by the City of Vancouver.
Yep, I needed to read it. Our Manager of Community Services has been having our staff attend more professional development in the city. So they did a tour of Van Dusen Gardens, for instance, and this was another one of the attempt to showcase other municipalities' work so that we could see what would benefit the District of Sechelt. So after each of these, they do a presentation to the rest of staff, and we have sort of conversations about what we could add to our work plans, and then they have listed a few of those things in the full report, but that would be that event.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, thank you. I was just trying to look for in here, Chair, the parks piece that would reference beach accesses. I just wanted to be relevant, so I'm just gonna.
Parks on page 8.
Parks on page 8. Okay, just want to be relevant. Thanks, Chair. To my comments, I did look at that. Let's see. So just to be relevant, I just wanted to ask a question through you, Chair, to staff. I wanted to inquire about the rules regarding beach accesses. There's one that I'm noticing more recently being blocked constantly in West Sechelt, and I'm wondering if it has to be open to the public, and it just seems like it's not being. Nobody's being encouraged to use it. So.
Thank you for the question through the chair. I'm not certain about the exact beach access you're talking about, but if you were to inquire, I can certainly get our park staff to go and check that one out. We recently went to one that council had been asking for. So we do regular maintenance and do regular checks, but there are so many of them that if you see one, in particular, we're happy to go and investigate. They should have public access to answer your question.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be encouraged.
Right.
Appears to be the homeowner seems to maybe not want anybody to use it, but not everyone has beach homes, so I'm glad they exist. So
Okay.
I'll certainly pass that on. Thanks.
There could be
Great,
some
thank you.
history there, so I will,
Pardon?
there could be some history there, so I'll look into it if I.
Yeah, I'd
get-
love to know the history.
Great,
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else on council? Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. On page 11, I'd like similar type of question. Can we just, regarding the bylaw ticket dispute mechanism, the screening officer, is this a new process? And am I correct that it's one or more managers on our senior staff?
Turn to Director Allen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. It's a process that we are refining and working on. Mr. Nias is the manager of bylaw enforcement, but Carrie Ann Wilson as corporate officer will be the screening officer, assisted by Tracy. And so we have some that have come through dispute, and they will be given fair process for screening and review in the coming weeks. Thank you.
If I may, Chair, a follow-up?
Please.
Thank you. And so am I correct on the next page where the columns or the chart, which I found very helpful, thank you. The reference to canceled would these be notices that were canceled as a result of this screening process? Or is the adjudication the part, like I'm wondering where the province comes in to this process?
I'm happy to answer the question. So when the process gets scheduled, we then are speaking with the people that were holding the ticket, for instance, the ones that he's speaking to that are canceled. We were able to resolve the issue in-house. So it did get to the point where they were being scheduled, but then we were able to resolve it with the person that held the tickets.
So those are resolved issues then.
Correct.
Okay, so then the screening officer process is what is under adjudication.
Yeah, no. Yep.
The screening officer reviews and screens the bylaw disputes before it gets to the adjudication process. Following the decision of the screening officer, if there is still a dispute, then it proceeds to provincial adjudication.
So thank you. So the adjudication is actually the provincial process in this chart.
That is correct. That's following the screening officer decision.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I was kind of curious about some of these processes and the dollars and the adjudication process, especially, for instance, this quarter, 15 tickets were adjudicated, 2 tickets were collected. Does that mean that 13 of those tickets were not valid? Anyway, I think part of the thinking is, you know, we're trying to generate more revenue from things and trying to have penalties pay for the amount, I think, of the staffing that's involved and the time for these things. And so I'm just wondering if this is sort of not functioning in that way. And I get complaints all the time about bylaw infractions, and we find that it has to be reported by the neighbors typically. So it's hard. A lot of neighbors won't do it because they don't want to upset their neighbors. But I don't really think that's helpful, because I think it also encourages people to maybe break the bylaws and see if their neighbors have the gall to go ahead with actually complaining about it. And so I know other cities like Calgary has a huge site where they have a lot, they're not as lenient, I don't think, about how things are reported, and they have a huge tracking system and way of showing all the dollars generated and all the things accomplished through this, which I think puts a little bit of the fear of whatever in citizens' minds, that if they do break the bylaw, there will be pretty serious and immediate repercussions. So,
Sorry, if I could just,
Yeah, I
so
think-
your question is to staff?
well, I mean, my question is, were 2 tickets for the $600 that we have shown in collections, was that just 2 tickets for all the effort put into this? And out of $14,000 worth of potential tickets?
Revenue.
So it's just something to think about, like how can we maybe look at this and I think maybe make it more effective and maybe somehow cost effective as well.
I'll turn that over to
From that.
staff.
I won't speak about individual cases, but this is a new process, and so we are speaking with these individuals and hoping that they will remedy the situations. And it's not that we're not wanting to pay for the services that we're providing, but if somebody is going to change their ways, we're looking to do it as a fair process. And so this is new, and I believe that the process is fair, and moving forward, there won't be as many opportunities to dispute or to fight your tickets, because this is a pretty transparent process going forward. Anything to add, Tracy? Go for it.
The 2 tickets that were in collections were because there was no response to the screening officer's decision. So after a certain amount of time, the matter is considered resolved and that the tickets are valid, and so they go to collections. The paid tickets are the ones that were paid following the screening officer's decision. And the adjudication hearing is scheduled for May 7th. So those tickets will be heard by an adjudicator on that date. And following that decision, then they'll either be paid, canceled, or sent to collections as needed.
Thanks. Council, I'm just going to chip in with a question on the same issue because we have it in front of us. Just so I understand the process, if I could ask staff, it pertains to short-term rentals. This just came up last night with the community associations because they find they have people sort of lodging complaints and then not hearing anything back. So how, if a person sees an infraction, they send an email through to bylaw to complain, a ticket's created, I'm assuming, and then how did they find out about the progress of that dispute? Thanks.
Generally, they wouldn't. So if a neighbor is complaining about something, bylaw will go in and run their investigation and do what they need to do to bring the people into compliance or issue the infraction notices and such. But I don't, unless an FOI request is submitted for that particular information, I don't know if they would be privy to the information.
All right. That's, you mean even the complainant themselves won't find out until it's adjudicated?
The adjudication hearing, like if there's a bylaw ticket issued and disputed, gone through the process and the adjudication hearing, that process is all public. But if a ticket is issued, just because a ticket is issued, I don't think that it would be considered public information unless it's being disputed and challenged.
Okay. I think my point being that there can be a substantial amount of time where the person who's submitted the complaint doesn't know what's happening. And it's it doesn't help if they can't sort of look in somewhere to find out whether it's being looked at, just to see the stages of it.
If they file a complaint and they continue seeing infractions, they should still be filing complaints.
But that's exactly the point that came up last night, is that they're saying, hey, we're filing complaints, but we're not hearing back where it is in the process. So it's a comment on the process that in my opinion, that we have to look at so that people can see that they're being heard and where it is in stages. So I'm just wondering if, well, I don't know, I'll leave it at that with staff. But I'll turn it over to Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, it's, Chair, it's a good question. You know, with this issue is fairly important to members of our community, and if they don't hear back, what we then would hear is that nobody's listening, it's the same old problems, we're not dealing with it because they don't know. You know, like when we make a complaint to the RCMP, as far as I remember, in a lot of cases, we get a file number. When we provide information, they give us a file number.
Just joining now, we'll wait just.
I'm not hearing that we even provide a file number or an indication to those complaining that there's an ongoing investigation. So that's a question I would ask is how do people know, much like other systems of complaint, that they receive a file number and or information back? We've received your complaint, we're investigating, this is the process. The other question I would ask in thinking about that is, how are our statistics compiled? If an individual makes a complaint and they continue to make complaints, or it's a single complaint, does that get written down as one single complaint in our information system? The reason I ask is that those that think that there's not a lot of complaints, if there's a single complaint by somebody who makes multiple complaints, they could then argue that down to only one complaint because it's one complainant. So I would love to know how the statistics are reported and compiled, similar again to the way legal reporting and or information from the police, when there's multiple complaints, there's multiple charges in a lot of cases for police complaints. So there's multiple charges, so you can see the numbers of times the law has been there's been an infraction and or there's been a complainant, because the charges are in most cases multiple. So just a statistical question I would ask through to staff. Thank you, Chair.
Is that clear to staff? Because I'm confused.
Tracy's pointed to Andrew Allen, so I'll refer it to Director Allen, but I'm not clear.
Thank you. Director Allen.
Hello, yes, we would categorize all complaints. We do our best to acknowledge and investigate all complaints. We have more additional statistics on page 22 of the quarterly report. The page 11 details were for the screening process, but as you can see on page 22, there were a number of complaints and a number of fines issued in Q1. It's just that we don't divulge the details and the specifics of the complaints to the complainant, but we should in every case acknowledge complaints, receipt, and act from there.
Does that, thank you. Does that answer your question, Councilor Inkster?
Thanks, Chair. In seeing if that answers my two questions, I hope they were understood. What Director Allen just said to us is that we should acknowledge complaints. You're indicating that you're not sure if we do. So if we should, do we? Is that what I'm hearing? We do?
Yes.
Yeah.
What I'm understanding from Director Allen is that we do acknowledge the
Okay.
complaints, but the critique that I'm hearing from people is that they're being acknowledged, and then it could go on for a year or years where the district is working on the infraction and the persons who have submitted the complaint don't know what's going on. So, and yet we keep urging people to contact bylaw when there's a problem. So, you know what, I'll pursue it with staff after this in terms of perhaps a bolstered system of getting back to the complainant. And I'll leave it my question at that. Sorry, Councillor Rowe.
I think what I'm hearing though is there's likely confidentiality or privacy issues with what we can share about the process. I'm not sure if that's part of the issue. My question is, maybe it would help if we could at least in these quarterly reports pull out the number of complaints we've received that quarter with regards to short-term rentals, and then sort of the number that are under investigation, like something along those lines that doesn't get too deep into the details, if indeed that's the issue. Thanks.
Turn to our CAO. Does that sound reasonable for these quarterly reports? Yep, that sounds great. Thank you. Councillor Bell.
Another bylaws. The thing that I wanted to ask about.
Microphone, please.
Right, with the new pilot project that we have now for the bylaw officers, is there some way that we can also include this in future reports in terms of, maybe the number of calls they respond to, that type of thing? Because I think we're at that stage where we're looking at how this will work. And it would be good to have that data for us to look at, if not in the next report, the report after. So I guess it's a request for future reporting.
Now, sorry, just to refine that, do you mean specifically to do with community safety?
Yes,
or
with community safety, yeah.
I'd be happy to answer that through the chair. So the community safety email that we're now piloting and pushing out to the public is in our Q2. And we're also, because it's this pilot, we are counting all of these metrics, and there'll be a report to council. You'll have it in the quarterly report, but we'll have it before then to cap off the pilot. Yeah. Thank you.
Great.
And just one more question. And the other one is in regards to page 14, just around projects. And it may be just the projects that maybe we're not, this isn't the appropriate place to ask for this about future projects. I was just wondering about the skateboard park. I just letting that one go, am I?
Please.
And yes, so the skateboard park is something that we originally had looked at. We looked at that grant that we spoke about last year, and that wasn't something that we were eligible for, but we're always looking for different opportunities. So staff is looking at different grant funding. We're looking at different opportunities to create, like we're right now looking at the pump track and how we can revitalize that, or if it needs to move location. So obviously we'd like some public input and process around these types of decisions, but the skateboard park is still a topic of discussion. It's just not on our work plan for this year.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Looking around. Oh, Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to let everybody know I need to step out now for a meeting with the Minister of Emergency Preparedness and other mayors and chairs. So I'll rejoin as soon as this meeting is done. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Noted. Councillor McLaughlin.
Right. If I could just comment on staff's great work at doing the Friendship Park washroom remediation. I was showing it off the other day to some dog walkers and saying, make sure you check that out. It looks great. So I really appreciate that. Thanks.
Very kind. Thank you. Can I just chip in again with a question on the OCP update? Again, flowing from the meeting last night with the community associations. I think there, perhaps Councillor Rowe could help me on this. I think there was a general desire expressed to see some great information sessions that took place in March and April. However, they are looking for more of a more description of the outline of the process and when informations or draft policies will be coming forward that they can get involved with in reviewing again, and ask that Director Allen could comment on that. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Pearson and I are presently working on a staff report, which we would like to present to Committee of the Whole in May, as soon as we get an opportunity, that will outline where we are so far with the community land development analysis and where we're going with the official community plan, what we've done for engagement thus far, the 33 groups and counting that we have on our community partners list that we reach out to and invite to meetings, and we'll keep updated with and seek advice from council on next steps, particularly with development of the OCP and engagement strategies. We have some ideas and would like some direction from council, and look forward to getting that in front of you as soon as we can. Thank you.
That's great. So a report coming in May on that process.
Correct.
All right. Thank you very much. Anyone?
No,
Councilor Rowe.
That's great. That's sort of the information we're
Yeah.
looking for. Yeah.
One final small item, bear bins. Bear bins, the latest sort of pilot program, lots of positive feedback on it. One sort of outlier question, could they be used for organics as well as garbage somehow? I'll pitch that over to staff. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the question. They're not the same size, they're smaller bins. And additionally, the intent is to not have any organics or anything smelly in your garbage. If the waste streams are separated properly, the garbage itself shouldn't have any attractants in it, and it should all be diverted to the organics bin. So to have them function as a garbage bin might kind of derail that waste stream separation. So I don't think we're looking at that at this time. Thanks.
All right, very thorough reply. Anything else from council on this great quarterly report? Nope, I'm seeing nothing, so we'll take it as adopted or received. Turning to 5.2. 5.2, the reserve history. I will ask if the Director of Finance can introduce this item. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So staff were directed to put together reserve history information and bring it back to Committee of the Whole. We were looking, when we were starting the process, we kind of recognized that we needed to go to our audited financial statements to get the audited balances. And doing that, it doesn't give you in the financial statements each transfer in and out of all the reserve. It just gives you the net difference. And so that's what we provided in this report. And I know the motion, says something, a little bit different, but I think the intention is to see what the net difference of each reserve was year to year.
Okay, Councilor Inkster. Thank you.
Thanks for providing these figures to council as per the motion. The information presented, I wanted to ask where the sort of demarcation line is. The reason I ask is that we have figures so we have an audited financial statement that reflects the previous year when the statements are done. We receive that later on in the year, so we're getting it, sounds like I think May, June, I think the audited statements are, or the budget is done at that point.
Middle of May.
Pardon?
Middle of May.
Middle of May, there we go. So I would ask then what these reserves are reflective of. Are they December 31st of the previous year? Are they a particular date like the audited time? Are they all at the same space and time? That's what I was wondering. So if 2012 or 13 is reflective of 2012 or 2012 reflective of 2011?
Yeah, they're to just January or December 31st of the given year.
Of the previous year?
Yep.
Okay.
Like of the year. So 2010 numbers are at December 31st, 2010.
Okay.
That my.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, because he answered what I asked, but okay, a little confusing to me, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ask maybe a different way. I can quick answer your.
Yeah, I had thought they just were reflective of, how our budget is actually not. It's the budget process and the budget decision-making occurs at a particular time in the year, yet it's for the spending to have already occurred and will occur.
Yes.
And the projects don't get green lit until we say yes to the budgeted amount, so then we can create tax rates.
Right.
That's why I was asked this question as to when those figures were, but you've said that they're actually, once they say the year, they're actually to the end of the year. I guess that's what happens when you report them later. Like now, but it's a little confusing to me, but.
Okay, yeah, no, it's just any money that's been spent out of those reserves, so in 2010, let's say.
Yeah.
So any money that's been spent out of those reserves up till December 31st And then these are the totals that are left in the reserves. Okay?
Okay,
That doesn't mean that there's some projects that are earmarked already,
yes,
like that didn't get spent,
yes,
right? So that's definitely part of that,
yes.
right? But it's just the money that's been spent out of the reserve up until year end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Chair, if I may.
Please.
So then, if there's projects that have, their multi-year commitment and/or a larger project, the amount drawn from the reserves would be reflective of each year's draw or the end of project larger draw?
Each year's draw,
Okay, on that project.
yes. So it'd be a
Okay.
multi-year project and you used $1 million one year,
Yeah,
that would be reflective at December 31st in the 1 year.
yeah.
And then if you use the second million in the second year, then it would be reflective at the end of the second year.
Okay.
Okay, turning to other council members. Any other questions on this very important statement? Councilor McLaughlin.
Yes, thanks. So just to confirm, we don't have the numbers yet for 2024?
That's correct.
Okay. Sure.
If, yeah, you will see them in the financial statements, but if you would like to see them either added onto this, it would be easy to send that out to council, not, as an email.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen it since it's always the most current that are the most interesting to us. Thanks.
Yep, and that's not a problem.
I'll ask a question. Stepping back from individual years, taking a look at the trend over time, would you call this it's a good news story because we've got a growing amount in reserves? How would you characterize the trend here? Thanks.
Definitely a positive news story. Yep. Sometimes it's not, if you spend money on a big project and you reduce the reserve to zero or really low, as long as you have the funding to build it back up for when you need the money again is what's important. And so with the 3% we've been doing in the cumulative, capital reserve transfer, that's really helped in this whole process, right? And I think that's reflective here, right?
All right, thank you. I see the CAO is dying to say something too.
Yeah, I don't disagree that it's a positive news story, but I don't think we should get too carried away with ourselves or patting ourselves on the back at this stage. It is a start of heading in the right direction. You can see from the last, number of years, it going up quite rapidly now, and that's good. That's cumulative effect starting to pay off. But if you let off the gas for any particular reason, you're going to drop back again. So we just need to be very mindful of the decisions we make around this, but it's certainly in the right direction.
Okay, I'm turning to everyone. Councillor Inkster. Microphone.
So does staff remember what the capital, do they remember when you look at the changes, do they remember what the capital change for the heavy decline in capital down to 2015 was? Does staff know what that was?
Is there a particular account?
Yeah, statutory reserves capital. So 2013, 14, 15.
Okay, so the cumulative of them, 2015?
Yeah, it would be the very top line and the balance is provided.
Down, you mean the number that's reflecting 666,000? Is that the one you're looking at? Sorry. 503,000
Yes.
or 50,014?
Yeah.
No, but if you look at the sewer fund ones, that would truly be the WRC. So that was just further down in 2014 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the big project there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have the background on what the general fund big project might have been there.
Okay, so that would be, I could probably find that somehow. It's quite a big downward movement there since 2011.
Perhaps an email to staff at a
Sure.
later period.
Sure, yeah, I can do that.
Okay, Councilor McLaughlin.
So those DCCs would have been discontinued at some point. The DCC program has been evolving over many years. And I think, I don't have the answer outright, but I think they were all moved into just the sewer, DCC fund. So, instead of having it divided out into areas of town, you can collect it all into one account, which is the sewer.
Does that?
Does that make
answer your
sense to
question?
you? Yeah.
It does, but it also brings up my question about when will we have our DCC bylaw updated with more recent requirements? Especially if the government does go ahead and start subsidizing that, well, we want to give them the true story of what needs to be subsidized. Thanks.
Yes, thank you for the question. And through the chair, the DCC bylaw update is in progress. Due to some shortage in staffing, it was delayed for a time. But with the recent addition of our new staff, we'll be engaging in that plan again. I don't have a completion date, but when I do, I'll be able to update. Thanks.
Does that help? I'll ask, actually, it's a great question. I'll ask if I could, something attached to that, or maybe with the update in the use in the updated bylaw, would it be fair to say that we will be capturing more costs? So we will be gathering more revenue once that update's complete?
We'll be certainly collecting a higher DCC rate per unit. That's absolutely true. I don't know that the number of projects will be increased. The projects may be slightly different and perhaps even less projects, but the cost of each individual project is so much higher than it was in 2016 that the rates will be substantially more. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor McLaughlin, anything else? I just have one last question, just in response to our CEO's response. Does it help us moving forward? Does it indicate that there should be relief in from the 3% tax in a certain period of time? And I know council was generally interested in even moving that to 4% if possible. There was some discussion, but perhaps. Thank you.
Yes, it is possible that number will reach a saturation point where you're perfectly comfortable that it's producing enough revenue annually to accomplish what you want it to accomplish. I don't know if that'll occur in my time. Maybe Megan and it's time. So, but we've got a ways to go. But yeah, conceivably, yes.
All right, that helps. Have we finished with the issue? It appears so. All right, thank you very much. That's great information to have and for us to think about in the next budget go around. So I will, seeing no other items on the agenda, call for an adjournment. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. For staff for those reports. Is there any questions online? Question from the audience, please.
Thank you. Two questions.
Sorry, you could identify yourself.